Meeting is called to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance and the moment of silent meditation. Upon completion of the pledge, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Meredith Wilkins to do the dedication. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd just like to dedicate tonight's moment of silence to a wonderful man from Holbrook that we lost. His name is Thomas Heinzen. He spent over 40 years serving the public in the Holbrook Fire Department and 35 years as a second police officer. So I just wanted to dedicate this day.
Thank you. Just to the, we have safety. Turn it over to Dr. Military.
Mr. Scalo, thank you very much. I'm going to jump right in. I do not have a rather long report tonight, which I'm sure everyone's happy about, with the weather and whatnot. However, Mrs. Hines, I'm going to ask you if you don't mind jumping in first, just to talk about, we've come to an agreement and understanding. We got both parties together, and we're looking at finalizing, or we have finalized our 8th grade trip, right? So all the 8th graders in all the 3 schools are going to have the same experience, right? Let me just say this, Allison. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. It's hard. Ms. Florio, we did talk about mics, right?
Yes, we did.
And
We're putting that in the 5-year plan.
No.
Oh.
That's in the this year plan. So,
Inside voice, please.
moving on from our former group that was, they're on a slow boat, whatever. We're moving on from that. We will have our new mics shortly. So, Ms. Hines, I'm glad to see you this morning. Probably Kristen, isn't it? But that's all good. Go ahead.
So I did send an email to yourself and the board today, just to let you know that the group of administrators and trip coordinators, with feedback from the students, we have decided to move the trip to an all 8th grade cruise around New York City. They will be taking a coach bus from the schools to Flushing, Queens, where the dock site is. Students will be transported, and they will take a cruise for a few hours. They'll have a lunch, a nice DJ dance time, and we thought it was a really nice opportunity because this cohort of students is not able to partake in that activity in the 5th grade. And to be honest, in the city, because there was an instance where we may have to split up some of the students and go across to different streets around Broadway, we really didn't feel like that was the safest. And we also wanted to make sure that the price of the trip is manageable for the students.
Thank you very much. And then we also spoke about a committee for future trips, right? We just kind of rehashed that for folks who don't recall, did not hear that message.
Yes, absolutely. So the same group, we're actually going to be adding to that additional students, parents, and we'll be talking about overall common activities in our middle schools, ending with our end of the year trips. After that, we'll possibly look at the elementary if we feel like that's needed there as well, just to maintain, again, similar experiences for our students, and then, of course, having student voice that this is, in fact, the types of trips and experiences that they want. And we also want to make sure that some of our trips may be geared toward particular classes, which we've talked about in the past. So thinking about Frost Valley, might we think about moving that back to our earth science students, and then still having an experience for our 8th grade, as well as making sure that trips that we are choosing are connected to our curriculum whenever possible as well.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. I know we just left the meeting, a 5-year committee, unfortunately, graduate committee, we had a lot going on in the district, as always. So I thank you very much for that. We just came out of Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had, I'm looking to see how much we recovered from Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, my brother came to my house. I'm going to say this now online. I'm going to send it. My brother came to my house with his wife and 2 kids and did not tell me he was coming. So they ate all the turkey. I thought would have the leftovers. This is upsetting. I'm just not showing you. I see the look on it. Ate all the leftovers. My wife Saturday had to go to the store and buy another turkey breast and broil it so I could eat my gravy and my kapusta, which is Polish my wife makes, and all this other great stuff. So I was offended by that, by my brother's actions. I can't say anything about it. But we had a great time with family and friends. I hope all you did as well. And we are coming into the holiday season, December 1 tomorrow, which is just incredible. incredible that we're December 1, right? Can you guys believe it? Is half your senior year over already? Do you feel that way? Good. It's not really technically half yet. When we get back, it will be. Yeah, pretty amazing, pretty amazing. So we will have a lot of concerts and shows and festivals and things like that in the schools. And Festival of Lights is coming up at North, right, Patty? Next weekend. Hope people get to check those things out. Really exciting time for our students in our schools and in our district. And I will close the superintendent's report tonight with one more bit of information. You may have read in the newspaper or seen online or on the news that there was an edict or a message coming out from NYSED, New York State Education Department, about the use of Native American mascots or imagery. We do not have any further information on that in regards to Sachem. I'm confident Sachem, our school, Hiawatha, Tamarack, all our schools are well within use. There won't be any issues around that. Around some people said, oh my gosh, we have to rename the district. We have to rename it. No, we're not going to do any of those things. But we will certainly, under the advice of our counsel, Mr. Venator, await the state's guidance on this, and then obviously act accordingly. We'll talk to them, but not much to talk to about it right now, because again, we do not have any of those guidance, any of that guidance or any direction at this point. So we await that, certainly. So thank you very much, Mr. Scott.
Student board member reports, any report that's?
Just getting back to sort of things now for break, but last Monday we did our 30 dozen where our students went around and delivered our turkeys and our boxes of goods to schools with students in with lacking the baking experience.
I think there were 80 turkeys altogether were donated by places like Chubb's and Geno's and a couple other places, and our kids all helped put all that together at both schools.
Yeah, it might have been more than that because we had boxes and boxes.
A lot of turkeys.
Yeah,
I could have used one of those turkeys over there. Turns out, I didn't know.
Yeah, so that was a big time. We all felt good doing that. And they signing day for seniors. We go to play sport college, so that was great. And yeah, that's what we feel like coming up next weekend.
Matthew, let me ask you an important question. We're having this committee about the future of Sachem School, about what it means to be a graduate from Sachem. What does it mean to give up your time like that? You and the Dirty Dozen and the other kids are coming together to help facilitate a happier Thanksgiving.
I do all this because I just love this district so much, and I plan on hopefully becoming a teacher, maybe in this district hopefully. So yeah, it's definitely we love seeing everyone come around that last Monday, and we get up at 6:30, finish packing, and we 8:30 we're out, and we. I went to Hiawatha, went back to Seneca, saw tons of little teachers, that was awesome. And then, yeah, everyone was going back and forth, taking trips, going, it was great, and everyone, it was great.
What's your favorite subject?
English, I want to be an English teacher.
I just can't believe it. You got that one right?
heard you.
Charge of
Loud and
personnel.
clear. It's in the book.
Slippery your resume.
Writing about your plan.
Excellent, Matthew, thank you so much. We love the fact that you're here and that you contribute like this. And when we talk about what it means to graduate from Sachem, we're getting this. Thank you so much. Alyssa, do you have a report also?
Pretty much the same stuff. We
Yeah.
did last Tuesday. We did the deliveries. We have about 150 boxes, I think, delivered to all the schools on the east side. And we had a curriculum night here a couple weeks ago. That was a hit. A lot of middle schoolers ran from the hallway. Their parents, they were all lost.
You pick them out, they're shorter and they're lost, right?
And then also timing day was today for seniors.
Really nice day. What does it mean to you to give back like that? Why do you do it?
I just love helping people, and I think I like to see everyone like learn each other and everything. So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Can we have approval of the minutes from November 9th? Can we get a motion, please? Ms. Iserni, second. Is out of the questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Council new business. Item 3 is business items, consent agenda A through D. With motion, please. Ms. Sardi, second by Ms. Volpe. Questions or discussions?
Okay, in regard to A, the intermunicipal agreement with the County of Suffolk for the turf fields, are we signing on to definitely have to,
I have to say the question and then.
Yeah. so does this mean that we're locked in and have to purchase turf fields, or?
Michelle, give a little background of what we're talking about and then the answer, please.
Thank you.
So, Sachem, our purchasing agent, Catherine Noble, she spearheaded this, initiative with Suffolk County Shared Services. For them, there are so many schools that are looking to, install turf fields that it would just be easier and more economical if we all worked off of one, bid. So we partnered with, Suffolk County Shared Services. They did all the legwork for putting out the bid, and the school districts worked with their architects for specs that would be specific to their districts, and those were all submitted to the county. And the county now will be the one that will go out to bid. And all the school districts, I believe there's 17 or 18 school districts that have signed on in Suffolk County to work off of this particular turf bid. But what it does say under the school district responsibilities is that if you're going to look to install a turf field, you would look to, if you're signing on to participate in this bid, you would look to go to the vendor that the county selected. But there is a clause in here that does say, where it says that the district shall only purchase the turf field from the county selected vendor if it determines that the county bid offers the lowest price for its intended use. So that gives you the leeway there, that if we weren't happy with the vendor.
And also, if we decide not to purchase turf fields this year, but maybe next year in the future?
I believe this is a 5-year bid.
Okay, thank you.
And Ingrid's folks worked on this right with us. One of the attorneys, I don't think it was Mr. Bennett, but another one of the attorneys.
Yes.
Chris was busy doing our other work. Yes, someone else did, worked on that, so it was definitely that.
This is a very similar agreement when we installed the new field of North and East. Replacement fields, we ended up working with the town, jumping on one of their bids. As a result, we saved this considerable.
And there's also the opportunity that we would receive funds back through the shared services program if we went through them.
Thank you. Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. And before we have personnel, consent agenda A through O, take us to page D. Okay, any motion, please? Okay. Ms. Larry, second. Ms. Dahman, any questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
I have one quick question, I'm so sorry. So on letter I, the approval of the 8th grade field trip coordinators, is that I on page?
Yep. Our page.
Right. Now, are those for the chaperones or just for, the coordinators planning the trip?
Oh, no, these are the 3 coordinators planning the trips, one in each school.
Okay, and we've always had that?
Yes, it used to
Okay.
be called, we actually changed the name, because it used to be called Front Valley Coordinator.
Oh,
So
got
when
it,
I saw that in there, I was like, wait a second.
right.
So we went back and spoke with folks, and made sure that we had the right amounts, and that we changed it to 8th grade trip coordinator this year.
So these are the people planning, but not necessarily going to be the
All the
chaperones?
time, they are one and the same, but this compensation is not for chaperoning, it is for run the trips.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? And we have motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Can you hear
Yes.
me okay? Okay, so we have some exciting times in personnel on this agenda. First, I wanted to start off with recognizing 2 teacher assistants who are, one who has retired, Mrs. Camille Rubino. She and her husband have been actively involved in all sorts of things, both locally and out in Arizona. So I'd like to congratulate her on having an opportunity to spend some time with her family out in Arizona in the heat, away from the sun, which we're missing right now.
and congratulate her. And also on January 6th, we have Elizabeth Riley, who will be retiring as a teacher assistant from East. She is looking forward to spending time with some of her grandchildren, and I believe one on the way, and helping to support her own children as they raise their own babies. So congratulations to them. In the audience today, we have several of our teachers who have also come through, and a teacher assistant, who have come through a rather rigorous 4-year probationary term. One might say that they have probably had one of the most challenging 4 years of probationary tenure to reach, and many others over the years. So we would like to congratulate Jen Basaka, Christy Andriossi, Ali Gibner, Jessica Kuna, last name I'm used to, so forgive my pronunciation, Victoria and Melanie Unina. Congratulations on your tenure. We look forward to hearing some more great things from you.
Kristen, I'm going to jump in for 1 second. I love that you use that word great, because I use that word all the time. We meet with our principals monthly, even more often than that sometimes. And we talk about tenure a great deal. And as I've said here, and I know the board supports this and advocates this, tenure is not a rubber stamp in this district. We do not want to be a good district. We do not want to be a district that's getting by. We do not want to be a district that's getting better. We want to be a great district. And the only way we can be a great district is to hire only great staff. And that starts whether it's in our kitchens or our cafeterias, our lunch, our hallways, our custodians, our hall monitors, up to our classrooms, our teaching assistants, our teaching aides, folks you see here on our cabinet. You must be great to work in Station School. And this will be a great district. I know that will happen. So I'm glad you used that word tonight. That's a word I always use. And so our folks tonight, we have an expectation of greatness. And I know you've met that, and you'll continue to meet that. So thank you very much.
Item 5, we have personnel, support staff. We have consent agenda A through I. Any motion, please? Okay, Mr. Reynolds, second. Mr. Perillo. Questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Okay, just a quick shout out to Mr. Walter Wood. Mr. Walter Wood is a custodian who is retiring as of 16th of December. He has been a local fixture here in our buildings for many years. He's been in Somerset District Office. He also is a person who gives back to his community. He's a emergency EMT. He is a leader within his position, and he's a leader within his community. He will be greatly missed, and I personally, being a chicken connoisseur, being alive on Saturday, he has his own, and we like to talk, cluck talk. So I will miss him, and we wish him all the best.
Item 6 is consent agenda A through C. Contracts. Any motion, please? Thank you, Mr. Ms. Reynolds, second. Okay. Any questions or discussions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 7 is action items on the bottom of page 11. 12. Any motion, please? Action items, Ms. Slattery. Okay. Second, Mr. Grillo. Questions and discussions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 8, Committee on Special Education, with consent agenda A through B. I need a motion, please. Ms. Surya, need a second. Ms. Dahman. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 9, monthly reports. I'll open up the board. I know Stephanie's at the board, but she did mention that. Is there somebody else, are you the legislator as well, Mary?
Yeah, we're gonna have our first meeting tomorrow and via Zoom so that we can just introduce ourselves and figure out what we're going to do.
Any other any other reports from committees?
Meredith and I attended the committee on our 5-year today with Mrs. Hine. Actually, the whole cabinet was there. Lots of staff teacher students, there are more people, but I think with the weather and just being that time of the year, a lot of people couldn't come. I think it was a great meeting. We kind of brainstormed what we would like to see in the district in the next 5 years. We talked about the portrait of a graduate, and then we're going to be breaking into 2 groups to kind of build both of those by the end of the year. Anything to add?
Okay. Item 10 is visitors, competency visitors. Item 11, board discussion items. We have any discussion items? Future yet? No discussion items tonight? Future discussion items. Item 12, Mary?
So I had the pleasure of going to both East and North signing today. I thought it was amazing. These student athletes really work hard to be able to achieve scholarships, and we do a great job at recognizing them. It's amazing. The family gets to come and take pictures. It's really, truly a great honor. I was hoping maybe we could look into doing something. I've mentioned this in the past for Career Ready, kids that are going into unions, and we have classes here where we can actually get children into unions. So signing off on that, and then also our arts, our musicians, our artists, any type of a signing for them. I mean, they're signing letters of intent, but in the moment they're not really doing that. So I think us, having a presentation for them, much like we do for our athletes, for other students would be a nice gesture.
Any questions? Is anybody in opposition to have that future discussion item? Basically, then on this. Yep. Any other future discussion items?
I'm coming from the experience of a middle school parent. I don't have anyone in high school yet. I don't know if we could have the discussion of increasing clubs in terms of how often they meet. I don't know if that's a budgetary issue. I know me as a teacher, one of the biggest conversations I'm having with a lot of parents over the last month through parent conferences, and we have gotten emails through the board of kids not making connections beyond the classroom. So if you have a kid who's, I'm going to speak for Seneca, they have a cubing club. So you can find that person in that club, but when you're meeting once a month, how much are you going to form that bond? So is there a way to increase these clubs so that kids can find their people, so that they are excited about school, want to come to school? So I don't know if there is contract issues in terms of that. And I also know that the 10th period has gotten shortened. They used to say after for 40 minutes, and now it's 30 minutes. So kids who like to club hop, the best way to put it, that they used to do 20 minutes, now it's 15 minutes. If they go to extra help one day where their club is that day, then they miss the whole club, so they're only going every other month. So is there a way to kind of increase that, but maybe that the clubs can meet twice a month, every week, based on maybe demand of the club, that if the teachers are available, the staff's available. I don't know if that's a budgetary issue or a contract issue, but just ways to look to increase that, because I know a lot of students seem in the classroom, they participate, they talk to their classmates, but a lot of parents are saying that their kids are not making friends, that they're not extending that beyond the school day. And a lot of times as a teacher will say, well, join clubs. Well, if you're only interested in 1 or 2 clubs and they only meet once a month, how are you going to really form that bond and find that group of people that you're going to have similar interests to and grow with them? I don't know the high school level. I don't know if they meet more often, but I can speak as a middle school parent. Once a month, if you're not in band and you're not in a sport, think about sports and drama and marching band. Those clubs become like a family. But when you're meeting in a club once a month, how much are you going to really bond with those kids in that club? So I don't know if we could just look into that, how to extend that for the future.
So we had discussed this years ago, even in the high school clubs. There are certain student government or even the Dirty Dozen, or when kids are involved in that, they meet often. And then there are other clubs that only meet once a month or every other month. And I again, if you're in a club that only meets once a month or every other month, I don't know what determines the difference, but we're supposed to, as a board, get the mission statement of each club, how many kids signed up for the club to show the interest, and attendance for the club. there's supposed to be oversight for that, because we've had clubs where there's 2 kids in a club, and we end up meeting once or twice in a year. So it would be beneficial then to have a club that has more kids meet more frequently than something like that. And I don't know if our 2 student board members can even comment on the clubs they belong to. Sorry.
The club level part of student government, I go to see our advisors. Well, my advisor is my coach there, volleyball, so I see him a lot. He just said that we meet next week. We talked about the festival next weekend. Usually the advisors in high school decide it could be every 2 weeks, could be every month. It's up to them really, and what's going on in that certain club. But yeah, I put lacrosse now and volleyball, so I don't really, I student government's like the only club I'm really part of. But yeah, I can't really speak on the club much.
Thank you.
I'm a part of a few student government, class government, mentor club, but they do usually just meet once a month. But like the student government, we have volunteer activities going on all the time, so I do see the club members more often, but like the class, I remember them just once a month.
Okay, thank you.
Listen, once a month, how long do you only meet? You meet once a month? How long do you meet? How long is the session?
Usually like 20 minutes.
So a future discussion I might be is maybe looking at clubs as a whole, as to how often we meet. And then the other thing too is how, you know, we could have this sooner or later, maybe during budget time, like, how we allocate money for that. Because I know there's some concerns of many of the board members, how money is allocated. You know, I've always been opposed to treasurer stipends coming out of the club account. You know, and that's a taking the club away from it. But the thing is, you know, also tying in that Suffolk County had a program that we tapped into last year, where they wanted, we looking to pursue that as well, maybe add additional clubs at the cost and expense of.
Happy to speak to that, and Aaron, you'll help fill in the gaps for me, but we are currently meeting, Ms. Hines is meeting with SCTA folks, and what we're doing is looking at all I went in the room, oh my God, that list that was on the board in that room, all the clubs and all the units and all the stipends, and how often they meet, and how many kids are in it. So we're completely tearing apart what it is that we do with clubs and looking at that and examining that very closely, making sure that we can allocate the scarce resources we have appropriately, making sure that the right numbers are in clubs and how often they meet. That's all part of this conversation that's happening. So it perfectly ties into for a future budget, future board discussion, a future board discussion around the presentation and everything. When that's finalized, we can come here and do that for the public. And many of the clubs that we increased over these past couple of years do come out of our federal funds, and that's something we have to look at very closely. Because as I said, people said at that time, well, don't put money in something that could go away. And we said, we need these clubs now. And what we'll do is step back and look at those that have the highest participation and make sure that we continue to fund those and push those forward. So we're going to have to look closely at our budget, our general fund, to make sure as these federal funds go away, that we have these clubs that the kids want to be there. Anything else to add, Ms. Hines?
I was just going to say that Ms. Kipling can talk a little bit about the contractual, because she and I are both actually meeting on the clubs with SCTA, but presently in my office, and I think I shared this before, I have the oversight of the clubs. So we do routinely look at, you know, attendance, interest, how many students are in clubs. Some of it is contractual, so I'll ask Ms. Kipling to share a little bit what she can. But this is a major, you know, focus for us, as well as SCTA. They too want to see everything really more streamlined. We also hold in the springtime, you know, interest fairs, and then we do it again in the fall, just to make sure if there's anybody that we, you know, haven't really looked at. And then if there's anything new, this is kind of a little bit new to me from Ms. Trompetta, when there is a new club, sometimes, especially at the high schools, we try it out for that first year to see if there is going to be student interest. In terms of the grants, Ms. Sarakis and I just looked at it today. We are looking to make sure that anything that we've taken to utilize for the clubs, if we can, ensure that it goes into the budget. But each year, we always cycle and make sure that it's in the interest of the students. But we're well aware that the frequency and the amount is what is our major focus for our clubs.
Mr. Reynolds?
So, Chris, so the expectation from you is you're gonna get us a list of all the clubs, how much we're spending on stipends, what's the attendance, all of that stuff, before we present to the public. Is that some data you can share with us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes some time to go through that list, but we can get that out.
If I can just add to that, you can hear me. So Mr. Rappis has also been involved in meetings as well. The club meetings are very important, not only for our buildings, for our employees, but for our students. We know that the union themselves, the teachers themselves, have an interest in trying to find a really great opportunity for our students to have things contractually. There are certain types of clubs that have dedicated number of meetings per year, as well as a dedicated number of students. So there are types of clubs that we're currently working on to try and find ways to possibly look at, per se, the treasurer and see if we can allocate that in another budget line. So we're having Ms. Sarakis look at the financial implications on what that would do. Can we tie it into something that's non-curricular related or program related, and then look at, what the feedback is as a result of it. And it's also something that's not just selected to Seaton. What's interesting is from the other neighboring districts in Nassau and Suffolk, we have other districts who have reached out to us and said, hey, have your teachers unions contacted you about clubs and what you're doing? And they're doing that in other districts as well. So perhaps that's, they want us to share our feedback, because we kind of look at ourselves right now as a guinea pig, and I think the unions on board with the same piece. Everyone's looking to see what someone else is doing and find good models. So that's what we're hoping to collaborate on.
Yeah, well,
just sure.
So when is the expectation from a time perspective? When do we want to have this discussion? Obviously not next meeting, but is it?
Right.
first of the year?
We could probably in January, February, we'll hone in on it. I need to go back and look at, sit down with Erin and the team and make sure that we have everything available.
That's
And we
calendar
can make
term,
it all-
budget season's gonna kick in,
Yeah.
so the timing is right. I just
Yeah.
don't wanna get too deep into budget season, we should have this sooner rather than later, right?
It's good as part of the discussion, the night that we present, and clubs is a part of that, and extracurriculars, we could actually do it so it ties in.
Any future discussion items? Board? Sure. Very.
Dr. P, I just wanted an update on life backs. Are they in every school?
I don't have that information. We're gonna have to get it for you. I know that we decreed that they would be, so we'll find out. Right, can I be helping with them? Okay, Meredith? I apologize, I don't have it off the top of my head.
Since we've decided to put them in our school, I think seven more lives have been saved that would not have been saved if they did not have them. And even cats, like to save this. And
They were definitely ordered, but we'll follow to be sure.
Thank you.
Does it work on dogs too, or just cats? Because I'm a dog guy. I don't know.
And then future discussion items. Our exec session, and then motion to go into exec session to discuss personnel matter being known to the board, a particular staff member, as well as the negotiation of one of our bargaining units. Motion. Okay, Ms. Pickwood, second, Mr. Reynolds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.